So good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to be back here at Mussar Mondays, and I hope everyone had a lovely Pesach. Just want to make a few public service announcements. Number one, first is we share the condolences, and our heart is heavy with the tragedy that happened in Poway, California. This is unacceptable on any level, not only it being a synagogue, any Jewish center, no matter how many injuries, no matter how many casualties or fatalities, everyone is too many, and this is something which is we need to really take to heart. I just came from the vigil. It wasn't candlelit because it was light, but it's something we need to strengthen ourselves and be proud of our Judaism, not hide it, and double down on our strength as Jews. And there's a tremendous movement encouraging everyone to take on more mitzvahs, show up to shul on Shabbos. You put on tefillin tomorrow, do another mitzvah, and I'm joining in the rest of the Jewish people in feeling this as our own a tragedy, as if it's our own brothers and sisters, because it is. And it's something which is important for us to be part of, not to say it's their problem. It's our problem. This is us as a people. Second public service announcement is that we are having a couple of excellent new programs starting this week. First is yesterday was the beginning of Ulpan 1 and 2. So anybody who wants to learn how to read and speak Hebrew really beautifully, Sunday evenings, 6:30 to 7:30 is level 1, 7:30 to 8:30 is level 2. I urge everyone to register online, torchweb.org, and really make it a tremendous a part of your week, because it's a phenomenal program. Monday nights, we're back at Mussar Mondays. We're thinking of starting another program on Mondays. We'll talk about it off air. Tuesday night, tomorrow night, we're beginning a new series which will end with Shavuot, which is with the receiving of the Torah, when the Jewish people stood at the foot of Mount Sinai, and we had the national revelation. So what we're doing is, in the coming 5.5 weeks, we're going to be doing on Tuesday nights 5 books in 5 weeks. So if you want to get a crash course in Torah, this is it. If you want to have an in-depth class in the Torah, that's the Breakneck Through the Bible that's been going through in-depth Torah study, learning through each verse and each commentary. That's also on Tuesday nights, but it's going to take a little bit of a hiatus till we're done with this crash course. It's going to be at 8 o'clock from now for the next 5 weeks. Then we have Partners in Torah Wednesday nights. And on Thursdays we have our Kabbalah over here at the Torch Center. And then we have, this week is a special week, because we have a special custom that the Shabbat after Pesach, we have a special challah that's made. It's not an ordinary challah. It's the challah that either made in the shape of a key, or that has a key in it. The idea is that it's unlocking all the blessings. There's tremendous blessings, tremendous miracles that can come onto a person, is unbelievable opportunity, and this is to unlock those opportunities. And it's an age-old custom to have, it's called Schlissel Challah, key challah. And it either looks like a key, or it actually has a key inside. You make sure you wash it and you put it in silver foil and then put it into your challah, into your dough. And many, many special, powerful blessings. So that's for women only. And you can register online, torchweb.org, and it'll be in my house. Women are all welcome. You don't have to know how to cook, and you don't have to know how to bake. You just have to come, and Zahava will show you. Another couple of great programs. We're doing a kosher kitchen workshop, which is going to be for 3 consecutive or 4 consecutive Sundays here at the Torch Center as well. So that's going to be on the website hopefully tonight or tomorrow with all the information. And there is one other program that slips my mind right now, but I'll remember it hopefully sometime throughout the class. Now, to regular programming. Thank you everyone for joining us online. We are back into our Mussar regimen, and I'm really excited about what we have in store. So we're in the middle of talking about vigilance, about the importance of recognizing that it's easy to slip away from focus. It's very easy to slip away from focus of why we're here. And we need to be vigilant and careful to notice the things that are distracting us from our mission. We've established in the introductory chapter of Mesilat Yesharim, ethics of path of the just, or way of the upright. The introduction the Ramchal gives is that we're all here for a purpose. We're here for a tafkid. We're here for a specific task of what we need to accomplish in our life, or tasks that we're here to fulfill within our lifetime. And we cannot be distracted from that task. Now, we have many times distractions that could be good distractions, right? It's a good distraction because, you have to do certain things, you have to be nice to your neighbor. That's true. But you can't let it take you off your track. You can't let it take you off your focus of what you need to accomplish in your lifetime. Okay? So, see, he says over here, even an animal knows danger and runs away from it. You ever watch those that we would discuss this about the Animal Channel, the Animal Planet, or whatever the name of the channel is? If sometimes you're stuck someplace and they only have, as you can see, the lions fighting with the hyenas, right? So the animals recognize danger and they run away from it. Why don't human beings recognize danger, spiritual danger, and run away from it? Why don't we? That's what the Ramchal is saying. We have to step up and be better than the animals. The animals instinctively, they see danger, they run. We see danger, we're like, how deep does it go? It's like, how big is the drop? Why? We should run away. See, he says like this. And you remember the example that he said was that you can't be like a blind person walking at night. And the reason the Ramchal says a blind person walking at night is because if you're just blind and it's during the day, someone else can guide you. But if you're blind and it's dark and it's night, no one can guide you. And the idea here is that only you know your mission. Only you know your task. You know your true capabilities. Not everyone around you knows those capabilities. Not everyone understands how gifted you are in whatever area of life you're supposed to succeed in. So, yeah, we all look the same. We all have, hopefully working eyes and a working nose, and we're able to talk, and we're able to walk, and we're able to hear things. And it's like, so we think like, oh, we're all in this together. We're all in the same boat. No, we're not. Everyone is unique. And some people have gifted talents that are on unbelievable measure relative to other people around them. Why? It's not just luck. God gave you health to use your body for good causes. God gave you the ability to be a great artist. How are you using it to bring God's name into the world? God gave you other amazing abilities. What are you doing with it to make the world a better place, to glorify God's name? Every person has special talents. Usually they're hidden from us a little bit because we have ignored them for so many years till we're old enough to understand that we have these gifts. By that time it's been buried with so much junk and so much habit and so many customs that we get accustomed to. It becomes a problem. So what we need to look for is what is the real mission that we are in this world for. Why am I here? God gave me certain abilities. Why did he give them to me? Could he give them to my neighbor? He gave them to me, chose me. You know why? Not so that you just feel special and say, look at me, I'm so great. The reason God gave it to you is so that you fulfill a special mission with it. That you do great things with it. And everyone has something unique. You don't need to copy, you don't need to mimic, you don't need to be jealous of any other human being. Because no one has what you have. No one. No one is capable of accomplishing what only you can accomplish. Anybody want to have a eulogy, which will go following eulogy, okay? Mr. So-and-so was a great man, he lived a great life, and he was just ordinary. Anybody think that that's right? No one wants to just be ordinary. You want to be special. Everybody wants to be special. And every one of us are special. We are special. We have to find that uniqueness. We have to find that specialty and shine light on it. And let it shine. So, V'hine Yirmiyahu mitonen al ra bnei doro. The harm of this willful blindness has already been taught by the prophets. Indeed, the prophet Yirmiyahu bemoaned the corruption of the people of his generation. Misonen al ra bnei doro. Mepnei heyosem niguim b'nega hamida hazot. On account of their being afflicted with the plague of this trait. And that trait being what?
Lack of focus.
A lack of vigilance, of being careful. Shahayu ma'alimim eineim mima'aseim. They would avert their eyes from their deeds. I'll give you an example. You can even be doing a good deed sometimes. So sometimes a person just does outright negative things. Sometimes not noticing that it's really negative, sometimes not paying attention that it's negative. But sometimes a person can also be doing good things, or seemingly good things, or in their mind it's good things, and with the wrong intentions. Right? Yes, a person could be doing a good deed with the wrong intention. I'm going to give all this money to this organization. You know why? So I can give more than him. I'll show him. Right? Now, I'm not saying that it's not a good deed. It's still a good deed. It doesn't take away the good deed of it. But what it does is it gives a sour taste for that mitzvah. Okay? So what we have is like this. For they would avert their eyes from their deeds. Without paying attention to examining the nature of those deeds. Whether they should be performed or abandoned. So we have to think into the actions that we're doing. Think of it as simple as this, okay? You're sitting with a bunch of friends, and your friend is there and his clothings don't match, right? So you could either say something really clever, and all your friends are going to laugh at the expense of this individual, or you can keep your mouth shut. Right? So sometimes we think like, which one? Well, this is a classic example of what the Chavetz Chaim teaches us in the laws of Lashon Hara. How careful we need to be not to fall into that trap. It's very easy to fall into that trap of just saying things. Just say it. And sometimes just doing, just looking, just going, just being, without thinking, 1 second, is this a good thing? Should I not? Will this make me closer to the Almighty or not? Is this something my grandparents would be proud of? Right? People don't think. We just do. And Yirmiyahu would bemoan that his generation wasn't even paying attention to their actions. They would just do things without considering whether or not they were positive or negative. V'amar aleim, and he said of them, Ein ish nicham al ra'aso leimor. No man relents of his evil, saying, what have I done? Kulo shav merutzasam kesus shotef b'milchama. They all follow their course like a horse racing headlong in war. It's just galloping away. It's just running. They don't stop to think, 1 second, maybe I'm going the wrong way. No, just let's go. And if you think about it, the world is all about trends. You ever notice that? Trends? I have a couple of things I wanted to share. I thought over Pesach, okay? But this thing, if you go on Facebook, if you go on Twitter, if you go on any of the social media platforms, there's something called trending. Anybody know what trending means? This is what the rest of the world likes, so probably you'll like it as well, because you're just a sheep anyway. Right? So they'll have trending, so that, God forbid, you shouldn't be left out of what everybody knows about, of what everybody is thrilled to be looking at, so now you should look at it as well. Are we trending? Is that we're in this world to be trending? So we know about the conversations, so we know about the politics, so we know about what's going on? Right? It's a danger, because it starts with social media perhaps, but then it leads into other things. We need to dress the way everyone dresses because that's what's trending. We need to talk like everyone's talking because that's what's trending. We need to act like everyone else is acting because that's what's trending. We have to be very, very careful of this. And this is where Ramchal is warning us. He says, don't be like those war horses that are just running and they don't even consider, maybe I'm going the wrong way. Maybe there's danger. Maybe this is just a silly idea. I remember a story. I was probably 8 or 9 years old, 9 or 10 years old. And I was on my bicycle. It was in the bungalow colony. The bungalow colony was upstate New York. You know, people would go to get out of New York City with all the smog and the hot New York days, right? So all the humidity, and we don't know what that is in Houston, right? But so either way, so they go up to the mountains and it gets cool at night, and it was really enjoyable. Either way, so I was at the top of a hill, and it was just after a big rain. The sun came out, but all of my friends, this is what was trending, they were taking their bicycles from the top of the hill and riding it through this big puddle of water at the bottom of the hill. So I wanted to be popular, right? I wanted to be part of what was trending. So I'm there at the top of the hill waiting my turn to ride down and get into that pool of water. And the lucky ones made it through, right? Most didn't. And I remember my cousin standing there. He was like the Yetzer Tov telling me, don't do this, right? And the Yetzer Hara is telling me, but I really want to be popular, but don't do it. And he says to me, he was like about 5-6 years older than me. He says to me, why are you doing that? He says, you're going to fall right in that water and get soaked. And I just rode right off and fell right in the middle and got soaked, right? And I remember feeling like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And there's only one reason why I did that. Well, everyone's doing it. If everyone's doing it, shouldn't I do it? But that's a 9-year-old.
Well, but our society is on the level of a 9-year-old.
Oh, and that's the challenge we're facing. We're facing is that we're just becoming trend followers. This is what people do, so this is what I do. You don't have to do what everyone does. You don't have to act the way other people act. You don't have to talk the way other people talk. Be you. And that's what the Ramchal is about, empowering the individual. You are the only unique you there will ever be in the world. Give an example. If your name were to be Jordan, just an example, right? He's not here with us, so I can bring him as an example, right? Right? Jordan, you're free to give a thumbs up. Either way, so if your name were to, right? You have to understand that you're the only Jordan there will ever be that will have your fingerprint on this world. You're the only Jordan that will ever be as talented and as gifted as you are. And your responsibility is to be you. Right? So my father would always tell us this. He would say, actually, we might have the privilege. My father might come in tonight to class. He's here in Houston. He stayed a little bit longer after Pesach, so maybe he'll be here. But he always used to tell us, when you come to heaven, They're not going to ask you, did you do what everyone did? Did you fulfill the quota of being like other people? They're going to ask you, God's going to say, I gave you certain talents. Did you produce what you were given to do? Your task. You're going to turn around and you'll be like, well, I did what I'm like, where did everyone go? No one's there. It's just you. Because we need to make sure that we fulfill our responsibilities. That's our job. To fulfill our responsibilities. That we were put into this. I'll tell you an amazing story. That I shared at not at my seder, but one of the meals over Pesach. Incredible story. It'll just tell you how lofty our soul is, how holy we are, and sometimes we don't realize how special we are. Every single one of us. So the story goes that Rabbi Yerucham Levavitz, one of the great leaders, he actually was murdered during the Holocaust. His last Torah lecture was given in the home of my grandmother in Slobodka, and he was taken from there with his students. They were gathered together and taken straight to the 9th fort where they were shot. And it was so a few years before that, his yeshiva was faced, a yeshiva called Baranovich, famous yeshiva, and hundreds of students, and it was under very, very difficult financial times. And he made a big fundraiser throughout Russia, throughout Eastern Europe, to raise money for his yeshiva. And it didn't go well. So what can he do? He needs to raise money for his yeshiva, so he traveled a long journey to get to the United States. Gets to the United States, and he's around for a very long time, many, many months, trying to raise money. He's very unsuccessful. He was not a great fundraiser. So right before he's about to leave, the person who knew how in pain he was, he says, listen, there's a man who actually learned with you in yeshiva 50 years ago, who today has the most successful code factory in New York. And I think you should meet him. But you need to know two things. Number one, he's not religious. And number two is that he does not have a reputation of being a big giver. So Rabbi Chanan said, I want to meet with him. So he goes and he knocks on the door of the factory, and the secretary opens up and he says, can I please speak to Mr. So-and-so? And she says, I'm sorry, he's not seeing anyone today. She says, fine. He comes back a few hours later, knocks on the door again, and she says, I'm sorry, he's not seeing any visitors today. Comes back a third time, and again she says, he's not seeing anyone today. He says, can you please do me a favor? Can you go tell him that Elchanan Wasserman is here? And you're talking about someone who is a master scholar, like an unbelievable leader in Torah Judaism. So she says yes. Immediately the guy comes out from the back and he greets Rabbi Wasserman. And, hello, he gives him a big hug. How are you? I haven't seen you 50 years. Brings him into his office. And he asks Rabbi Wasserman how things going, and they're reminiscing, and they're going back to the olden days, and they're talking about their days in yeshiva together. And the man says, "No, so what did you come for?" He says, "I came to say hello." He says, "No, come on. Why did you come?" He says, "I came to say hello." Okay. A few more minutes of conversation. He says, "Okay, just tell me, why did you really come?" He says, "I came just to say hello." Okay. where he's staying. He asks him where he's staying, finds out all the information about him, and then the rabbi leaves. The next day, the rabbi, where he's staying, gets a knock on the door, and he says, the guy from the coat factory wants to meet with you. He wants you to come to his office. So he goes to the office to meet the man, and he says to him, it's been so many years that I haven't even seen a page of Talmud. Would you be able to show me a page of Talmud? So Rabbi Chanan, of course, like any Torah scholar, always carries a Torah book with him. He's carrying his Talmud with him. He opens up, he looks at it, he shows it to him, and they started learning together. And the man starts crying. And he's so taken by this experience of learning again and seeing the words, he can hardly read them. It's 50 years he's been completely distant from his own faith. And after they learn, the man turns to Rabbi Wasserman and he says, tell me why you came. He says, I'll be honest with you. He says, my coat has 2 buttons, but it's supposed to have 3. So I figured you have a coat factory. You probably have someone who can, easily put that 3rd button on for me. The guy says, you mean to tell me you traveled 4 weeks on a ship to come to New York so that your friend can have one of his workers sew on a button? That's what you came here for? So he says, you tell me. He says, the Midrash tells us that the soul, the lofty soul that we have within our body, takes 500 years to travel from the holy throne, from Kisei HaKavod, from God's holy throne, to the next firmament. And then between each firmament, 500 years, till it gets into our body. He says, and you think your soul traveled thousands of years so that you can make coats? That's what you're here for? Right? It's just as preposterous to think that I traveled 4 weeks to sew a button than you traveled hundreds of years to just make coats. For sure, that's not why. She says, please tell me how I can fix this. Tell me what I can do. And of course, he shared with him the opportunity of supporting his Torah institution. And he gives him a check that supported his yeshiva for 2 years. Amazing. But the reason I told you the story is because we understand that the neshama, the soul, is so incredibly lofty. It's so incredibly great. It's not like this. It's like we all have a spirit. We have a ruach. We have no. It's something which is something so great, to the point where recently I heard there's an Orach Chaim in one of the portions of the end of Exodus. It says that when we come home from shul, we sing Shalom Aleichem. What do we say at the end of Shalom Aleichem? What is Shalom Aleichem? We're welcoming in the angels into our home. And then we say at the end, Seitchem L'Shalom, now you can leave. What? You just had the angels come into your home. You say, Bo'achem L'Shalom, your coming should be with blessing. Barchuni, bless us with peace. And now you can go. Shouldn't we keep them around? Keep the angels around? Orach Chaim says that our soul, with the infusion of Shabbat, gets elevated to such a high level that angels can't fathom. Angels can't survive in that realm. It puts another understanding to why we're not supposed to do any creative labor on Shabbat. We're in such a state of spiritual loftiness, of euphoria, spiritually. We have to be able to connect to that dealing with the physical elements of this world are too base for us on Shabbos. Shabbos, we only deal with the more elevated things. Shabbos, we deal with all the spiritual things. We connect on a whole different level. Even the angels can't fathom, can't grasp, can't handle the loftiness of a Jew on Shabbos. So when we talk about our purpose in this world, you have to understand that our purpose is very, very, very significant. We're not here to just do good, be good, do good, and do no harm, and tikkun olam, and we'll put all these nice flowery words on this world, and that's enough. We are here to fight a battle against our Yetzer Hara. We're here to bring God's name into this world. Just this week, 2 days ago, the Kal of a Rebbe, you may have seen this, the Kal of a Rebbe was, I think, 96 years old, passed away. The Kal of a Rebbe was in Auschwitz. And if you looked at a picture of him, you'd see that he had a very, very small beard. He couldn't grow his beard because
that's the other column, not the one that we saw.
Right, not the one we saw, right. This is the original one, the one who lived in Bnei Brak. And one of the things that they did to the Jews in Auschwitz, they cut off their beards, and they put a chemical or some sort that didn't allow their body to grow anymore here on their faces. It's one of the trials that they tried over there by either way. So he never had a beard. He had long payas, but he had like a little beard. When he was in Auschwitz, one of the things that he said is that they were taking little children and adults, putting them in a pile and shooting them all. So he said to Hashem, "What use do you have killing me? What use do you have killing me? I'm going to say Shema and it's all over." He says, "I'll make you a deal. You keep me alive, I will say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad with every Jew I possibly can." And that's what he would do. Whenever he'd meet Jews, he would say with them Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And there's a video that I got today of the holy Kal of a Rebbe saying that Shema with such sweetness and with such holiness, with such pristine, clarity for the whole world to hear. Making a deal with God. Save me so that I can continue to perpetuate your words of Shema Yisrael. It shouldn't vanish with a gunshot. He understands, and he understood that we're here as an neshama on a very, very high task, on a big responsibility. Ramchal is telling us here that people don't contemplate, right, to the point that they are bli sheyanichu. So he says v'hainu, that is to mean shayu rodfim v'holchim b'rutzas hergelam v'darkeim. They raced along on the path of life, following the course of their ingrained habits and ways. How many of us are we guilty of that? We get into a certain habit. This is what I do every morning. I'm sorry, you need me to help you? I can't help you. Right? At 8:30 in the morning, I have my coffee. And at 8:45, I do my swimming. And I'm sorry, you're cutting into my me time, right? And someone needs help, and we're not there for them, perhaps. Maybe we should take a step back and say, you know what? Maybe this is what Hashem wants me to be doing. I'm in my habits. Maybe it's to break some of those habits. Maybe some of those habits can be modified. Maybe this is right. This is when I watch my game. I don't care what happens in the world. I'm watching my the Rockets finals, right? We have to pay attention. This was what Yirmiyahu was devastated with his generation, that they were just going by their hergel. They were going by their habits. Without leaving themselves time to scrutinize their habitual deeds and ways, without evaluating, is this the right path that God wants me to be on? Is this what Hashem has in mind for me to be doing right now at this moment? V'nimtza shehem noflim b'ro bli ososa. And as a result, they would fall into the evil without ever noticing it. They don't even notice that they fell into the trap. I'm just doing my thing. Just doing my thing. And each and every one of us need to take the time and evaluate. I'll tell you an amazing story of an evaluation, okay? Being that my uncle is not on social media, I don't think he'll ever see this video. So I'll be able to share a story about him. But my uncle is a big rabbi in New York, and Rabbi Erlinger. And those of you who know, my aunt, my father's sister, passed away a few years ago, and she was very, very ill. And I was once in New York for a family simcha, for a family celebration, and we were there for Shabbos. I figured I have to go visit my aunt and my uncle. I have tremendous appreciation and gratitude. When I was in 9th grade, my parents lived in upstate. I lived by my aunt and uncle for an entire year. I learned in Brooklyn, and I stayed in their house, and they fed me, and they took care of me, and I traveled back and forth for most of the Shabbatot to be with my family. So, of course, I would not be in Brooklyn without saying hello. And I went in to say hello to my aunt and uncle. It was Friday afternoon, and my aunt was really, really not doing well at the time. And I didn't realize how badly she was doing. And I came in Friday afternoon, and there are 3 nurses there, and there's a doctor on the phone, and the pharmacy on the phone, and my uncle is there, and they're trying to figure out medications for her, and she needed certain medications. And I came in, and I said hi, and my uncle didn't really, he was very, very busy, and understandably, and I didn't want to take from his time, and I said, we just came to say hi, say good Shabbos, refuah shlema, feel better, and we'll come back another time when it's quieter. A few months later, we were back again in New York, and I went again to visit my aunt and uncle. And this time, it was much quieter, and my uncle was very excited. He was very excited. I was there, and he took out cakes, and he took out cookies, and he took out drinks, and he set up a whole table for us. And I'm like, it's like, I'm not some chief rabbi of, I'm just like, it's just me. I'm your nephew. It's no big deal. Like, you don't have to put out this whole spread. And he said, no, I felt very, very bad when you came last time that I didn't give you the proper attention. I didn't give you the proper time. He says, I demand that you sit down and that you make a blessing and you sit here and we schmooze. It's like, I was thinking to myself, how many of us would be with the clarity of mind to even think and evaluate our day that there's one person who came while we're busy with the whole phone conversation and phone with the doctors and with the pharmacy and with the insurance, with the this and that, and they even pay attention that, I didn't give them proper attention. Didn't give them the proper time. And there's only one reason. Is because those who follow the teachings of our sages learn that every night we're supposed to evaluate our day. After we were up for 18 hours or 16 hours or 22 hours, don't you think we bumped into a lot of people? Maybe there was a person we didn't greet properly. Maybe there's a person we weren't patient with. Maybe there was a person we didn't speak to appropriately. Maybe there was a person we didn't greet with the countenance, with the shining light that we should have. Maybe there's someone we just, we pushed them aside. Maybe. How will we know if we don't evaluate? How will we know if we don't go through our day and see, perhaps I made a mistake, perhaps I was wrong? If we don't evaluate, if we don't have this cheshbon nefesh, an accounting of the soul, perhaps we just pass through it and we just go another day and another day and another day. We never evaluate. We never look at our ways and see, maybe there's something I could have done better. Maybe I could have done this in a more appropriate way. So this is what the Ramchal is warning us. He's warning us that we just get into the pattern through the habits and we don't stop to think, to evaluate, am I going in the right direction or not? Ramchal continues, considering that the folly of this way of life is obvious, why is it so difficult for man to avoid? Why is it so difficult for us to fall into this trap Okay? Ulam. However, הנה זאת באמת אחת מתחבולות היצר הרע וערמתו. This is actually one of the tactics of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, and its cunning. להכביד עבודתו בתמידות על ליבות בני אדם. Is to burden people's minds constantly with being busy. You know this idea of being busy? Right, when do people get a chance to just sit and relax and just think? Never. You know why? Always got something to do. Always got something to do. Anybody who has a cell phone knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's always new messages coming. There's always a notification. You know what I did today? I had a few minutes this morning. I turned off all my Facebook notifications on my phone. So aside from that, I don't have the messenger from Facebook. But all the notifications, I don't want to get any notifications. There's only one reason I have Facebook on my phone. And that's so we can do these videos. So what do I need the notifications for? If I go on my computer and I have the time, I'll look at the notifications. But it's non-stop. It's non-stop. We're being bombarded. And, you know, it's like, it's crazy. We are non-stop being bombarded by who? By the Yetzer Hara. He's saying, don't have a minute for yourself. Don't have a moment to think. Don't have a moment to evaluate, to introspect. Just be busy. Do me a favor. Be busy. And we're busy with everything in the world but our own spiritual status. Our own selves, our own elevation of our soul. That's the danger. Is that we're just busy. Now, boredom has its own problems. Boredom leads us to sin. That's its own terrible thing. But being busy is a great thing if you're busy with the right thing. But people who are just perpetually busy, they're people who, that's their life. It's to be busy. Just to be busy. And they don't ever get a chance to introspect, to think about themselves. You know what? Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I was in the wrong. Maybe I need to correct my way. It's something which we need to stop and think for a second. Maybe set aside a few minutes every day to just introspect. To sit alone in a room and think, 1 second, maybe I can do a better job. Maybe I could have been nicer. Maybe I could have given someone the honor they deserved. Maybe I could have not been lazy. Whatever it is, we all have our things. Every one of us have our things. But the only way to do it is to stop. Because what the Yetzer Hara has going for him is he has constant, perpetual busyness to throw at us. Throw more busyness. Guess what? You know what happens when the NBA ends? You know what happens when the NBA ends?
You start training for the next year.
Soon football begins, and then baseball. You have World Series, and then you have Super Bowl, and then you have another championship, and you have this, and you have that. Oh, don't forget, once every couple of years, you also have the Olympics. Can't miss the Olympics. That's on sports. And then, sorry for the Europeans, they also have soccer, right? And what? And how's that going to change our lives? And some have the sport of politics. So every 4 years you have election, and it's 2 years leading up to an election. And it's busy, and the headlines, and there's news reports, and articles, and scandals, and more breaking news, and every day. Yetzer Hara is having a field day. He says, guess what? I'm going to come up with a new story tomorrow, throw it in the front cover of the New York Times, and everyone's going to be talking about that. I'll keep all people busy about that instead of focusing on, for a second, am I heading down the right path? Am I treating my soul the right way? Am I bringing God's light into this world? One headline after another headline, and one trend after another trend, and one thing after another thing. Before we know it, we're so busy we don't have time to think. That's the Yetzer Hara's tactic. That's his tactic. Keep man busy. And then, this was, by the way, this was Pharaoh's tactic. And we're going to see it soon. The Ramchal is going to bring Pharaoh as an example. Oh, next page. Look at that. So we'll see this in a second. To burden people's minds constantly with its toil. To the point where they are not left with free time to contemplate and examine which path in life they are traveling. For the Yetzer Hara knows that if people would pay just a bit more attention to their ways, they would undoubtedly begin to reconsider their improper actions immediately. Here's just a few minutes to evaluate, just a few minutes to think of, we would never do that. I wouldn't. How many times do we say, you know what, if I would have thought about it, I probably wouldn't have done it. Right? How many times do we hear that? It was the moment. It was at the moment. I'm sorry. What? It's because we don't stop to think. And this is the tactic of the Yetzer Hara. And their regret for their misdeeds would grow continually stronger until ultimately they would forsake the path of sin completely. Hence, to prevent people from breaking this habit and improving their ways, the Yetzer Hara employs the tactic of keeping them too preoccupied to think seriously about their path in life. Is that amazing? Ramchal is telling us exactly the methods of the Yetzer Hara. This is what he does. You want to know how the Yetzer Hara works? This is how he works. This is what he does. He keeps you so busy that you don't even have time to think. Right, left, just go. Nobody has time to think. My daughter was telling me, she says, Abba, you're really annoying. She says, because when I send you a text message, and I see that you looked at it because it shows the two blue checks, you don't respond. I said, do I look to you like a vending machine? You put 2 quarters in, pop, and there goes your soda, comes out. I said, I want to think. I deserve the opportunity to think about how I'm going to respond. No? Yeah. But this is the world of instant. No. Don't think. Just want to think about it. I don't need to respond right now. I can reply later. If it's urgent, of course. It's not urgent. But people, it's like everything. Don't think. Just move it. Such a tactic was actually employed in ancient times by a human oppressor, known as Pharaoh. Very nice. This is similar to the plan of Pharaoh, the wicked king of Egypt. V'harei zo me'en atzat Paro harasha she'amar, who said, when Moshe and Aaron appeared before him to petition for the release of the Israelites in Exodus 5:9, chapter 5, verse 9, he said, Tichbad ha'avodah l'nashim, let the work be heavier upon the men, and let them not pay attention to false words. Shahaya mitkaven shelo lahaniach lehem revach klal, for Pharaoh intended not to leave the Israelites with any free time at all. Levilti yitnu lev o yasimu etzah negdo. For what purpose? So that they should not be able to even consider rebellion or formulate a plot against him. What was Pharaoh's plan? Pharaoh's plan was very simple. Let me keep them busy so they don't have time to think. If I can keep the Jewish people busy in Egypt, then why did they have to build buildings in quicksand? Can you imagine if we had 3.5 million free workers, not low-wage workers, free workers, they're slaves. You make them work day, night, every day, all day. You whip them if they don't work hard enough. They'll build, the whole country won't have a crack on any street because you're going to need to keep them busy because that's what the king's command is, right? Work, nonstop. Eventually, they'll run out of things to build because everything will be built. You're not going to have a crack in your wall, not a crack in your foundation, not a crack in the street. Every building will be built. And now, what are you going to do? 210 years. Free slavery. What are you going to do? Got to make sure they don't rebel against you. You know what you're going to do? Tichbad avodah. Let them work harder. Let them not stop. What does Pharaoh say? Shehaya mitkaven shelo laniach lehem revach klal levilti yitnu lev o yasimu etza negdo. They shouldn't have a moment to contemplate and then rebel. That's the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara does exactly that. The Yetzer Hara doesn't want us to stop for one single solitary moment. Don't even stop. Don't think. You know why? Because Yetzer Hara likes you busy just the way you are, a person of habit, a person who just does today what they did yesterday. You know, I have my regular routine, nothing's going to stop, and that's it. Keep busy. We have headlines, and we have, just like we said, right? Endless notifications, endless messages, endless news, endless, just repetitive, keeping us busy. You know, once in a while you have a news story which will take us over, and it's like, wow, everyone gets busy, and it just don't focus on yourself, and Yetzer Hara is happy. That's what he wants. And that was Pharaoh. Ela hayam mishtadel la'afriya libam mikol hitbonanut. Rather, Pharaoh endeavored to divert their minds from any contemplation of such matters. Bikoach hatmadat avodato abilti mafseket. Through the pressure of constant, unremitting labor. Non-stop labor. Work, work, work. No time to talk. No time to breathe. Work. Because if they stop to think for a minute, you know what's going to happen? They'll rebel. They'll fight back. Ki kain hi yatzat Yetzer Hara mamash al bnei adam. This is precisely the strategy of the Yetzer Hara and what he employs against people. Ki ish milchama hu umelumad ba'armimut. For the Yetzer Hara is a great warrior and experienced in cunning. V'iyef shalim alet b'menu. And it is impossible to escape from the clutches of the Yetzer Hara. Ela b'chachma rabba v'hashkafa gdola. Except through much wisdom and great foresight. What Ramchal is giving us here are the tools we need to overcome the Yetzer Hara. Number one, don't be a creature of habit. Take time to evaluate. Am I going down the right path? You know something? Today, we have something called GPS, right? And everyone has a GPS on their phone. And you can put in an address out in New Mexico, and it'll tell you how to drive there, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about your travel. But you used to have a map. Remember those good old days? You had a map, and you'd see, oh, 1 second, now we're passing here. Okay, this is exit. Then you'd look at your map and make sure. Right? But why do you have to look back? Make sure you're not going the wrong way. You got to check. Ramchal is telling us, you're going through the road of life. Stop every once in a while and evaluate, are you going in the right direction? Maybe you're going the wrong way. Right? You call your friend, you're like, okay, we're meeting in San Antonio, no problem. I'm getting on the 610 right now. You start going 610 East. Right? On the I-10 East. Right, what's going to happen? You'll end up in Louisiana. Right? He said I-10, right? I-10. No questions asked. I put on the music and ignore. Right? If you don't keep on checking, you're going the right way. Right? You're going to have two problems. Right? Number one is you wasted all that time, but now you have to go double back to get to where you need to be. When we incorporate bad habits into our lives, we say negative things. Now we have to apologize for those negative things. We have to say the positive things that should have been said instead. There's a lot of cleanup to do. Ramchal is telling us, pay attention. Notice your actions. Stop and contemplate. Am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Is this what Hashem really wants from me? Again, we are held to account for our own actions, not by the measure of anyone else. I told you this, I said in the name of my father. My father's right here. I'm honored to have my father with us here. And this is something my father drilled into us since we were little children. He said, God is never going to ask you, why weren't you like him? He's going to ask you, why weren't you, you? And that's our responsibility. Ramchal is telling us, we have a propensity, we have a habit of being busy, not looking at ourselves. Just let's go with the trend. Herd mentality. If everyone's doing it, what could be wrong? It's funny. My wife and I just went to the vigil at the JCC, and it's funny because there were hundreds and hundreds of cars parked on the streets. But when we were walking into the parking lot, we saw that there were hundreds of empty spots in the parking lot. So what happens? First guy parks in the street, and then the second guy says, if he parked in the street, there must not be any spots left, right? So they park right behind him, and then it's like before you know it, all the streets are full. That's herd mentality. And we cannot fall into that trap in our own personal spiritual lives. We can't say, well, it works for everyone, it works for me. No. You're you. You're not everybody. You're not going to be able to say, I did this because everyone did it. And to say, well, sorry. I gave you special talents. Why didn't you utilize them? I gave you special abilities. And it's a real responsibility that we need to carry with ourselves every day. How am I special? How am I showing my greatness in this world with the tools, with the fingerprint that God gave me? What fingerprint am I leaving on this world that's unique to me? Doesn't mean that you're going to be the Susan Komen Foundation and everyone's going to know your name and everyone's going to... That doesn't have to be you. It could be the small actions. It could be saying the nice things. It could be doing the nice actions. But we need to start thinking about that. And that's what the Ramchal is pushing us here. To take time, stop living by habit. Stop living by rote. Stop living just a perpetual lifestyle of, what I did yesterday worked, so I'll do it again today. And just keep on going like that. And just keep on going. We have to take the time to evaluate, am I on the right direction? And if I'm not, what am I doing to take the nearest exit? And making a U-turn. And it's not easy, I'll tell you. I've had people tell me, Rabbi, if I would have met you 40 years ago, I would be a Shomer Shabbos Jew today, but now it's too late. It's too late, Rabbi. No, it's not too late. It's never too late. Rabbi Kiva was very, very old. And he didn't say too late. He ended up restoring all the Torah we have today is from Rabbi Kiva. He could have also said, I'm 40 years old, I don't know how to read the Aleph Bet. It's too late. It's a big ship to turn around. It's taking an exit and making a U-turn, getting back on the highway, going the right way. Oh, Rabbi, me keep Shabbos, me put on tefillin, me wear tzitzit, me pray. Come on. God doesn't need my prayers. You're right, he doesn't. But he wants it. He craves it. He loves it. So, yeah, we all have our mission. We all have our purpose that we're placed into this world. And any questions? You had a question there.
I'm just thinking of Gevura, and for myself, we get caught up in things like an automaton. So the Gevura, you have to implement the Gevura. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Go on the brakes. I need time
to evaluate.
My list of, I need to allocate 2 hours for this special thing I want to do with God.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
So I have to,
Thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. Any other questions before we sign off here? Right. So let's go get him. Let's go get him. Let's make
U-turns now.
I think exactly. U-turns allowed. Right. U-turns encouraged. Exactly. All right. So before we leave, I just want to say count the Omer. We're going to stand up together and we're going to count the Omer. And we're going to our friends online, thank you so much for joining us. If you can, please just click like and share so our friends online can... thank you, Peter. Looking forward to seeing you in Kentucky.